Have you ever spent an entire weekend working on a project and at the end, you looked at the result and thought this wasn't supposed to go wrong, pieces that don't fit, measurements that don't match, cuts that don't make sense, and the worst part, you did exactly what the plan said. Then let me tell you something important: maybe the problem was never you. If you've ever felt frustrated in woodworking, if you've ever looked at a piece thinking, where did I go wrong? You're not alone. This happens to a lot of people, especially those who are starting out or even those who already have some experience. Because deep down, we want something simple to follow, a plan to build, and to see the project take shape. But instead we get lost along the way. And that's discouraging. It makes it seem like we lack skill when in reality we lack clarity. Most people believe that a woodworking plan is like a map, but many plans are more like a pretty picture. They show the end result, but they don't show the actual path to get there. And when the path isn't clear, mistakes aren't a matter of if they'll happen, they're a matter of when. Let's understand this in practice. Imagine you found a plan to make a simple bench. You look at it and think, perfect, I can do this. The plan shows the finished piece, some measurements, maybe even a basic list of cuts. But when you start, doubts arise. First problem: incomplete measurements. The plan says the piece is 45 cm wide, but it doesn't explain if that includes the sides, the top, or any excess. It seems like a small detail, but it's exactly this kind of detail that changes everything. One wrong cut leads to another, and then another. And wood doesn't forgive mistakes. Then comes the second problem: wrong order of steps. The plan might say assemble the structure, and only then mention something like make the side joint, but wait, that joint needed to be made before assembly. And now, you've already glued, you've already screwed, and you need to go back. This breaks the rhythm and starts to generate doubt. Third problem: tools that nobody mentioned. The plan seems simple, but suddenly it asks for a specific cut, a more technical joint, and you realize you need a tool you don't have. And the plan offers no alternative. So the project stops, and it becomes something else, a list of things you need to buy. And that frustrates even more. Now comes one of the biggest villains: too many decisions. Some plans say things like choose the type of joint you prefer, adjust as needed, align correctly, but what does that mean in practice? For those with experience, this makes sense. But for those who are learning, this creates doubt. And doubt hinders progress. You measure multiple times, you become insecure, and sometimes you even abandon the project. Another important point: many plans are made to look good, not to be executed. They work well on a blog, in an image, but in practice details are lacking. Explanations are lacking. Structure is lacking. And then you end up having to play the role of engineer, interpreting, guessing, adjusting. Now think about it: what if there was a different way? A plan that would truly guide you from the first cut to the final assembly. With a complete materials list, clear measurements, logical order of steps, simple explanations, and even warnings of common errors, this completely changes the game. Because you no longer need to try to understand what the plan meant. You simply follow it. And when you follow something well structured, the process flows. You gain confidence, and the project starts to make sense. Here's what many people don't realize: failure in woodworking doesn't start with the tools, it starts with the plan. If the plan is confusing, the result will be confusing. If the plan is clear, the result tends to be much better. It's not just about cutting wood, it's about following a system that works. If you want to avoid this kind of frustration and make your projects simpler, more organized and predictable, maybe the next step isn't trying harder, but trying in a more structured way. In the description of this video, I've included some material that can help you with exactly that. It's a set of organized plans designed to facilitate the process, especially for those who want more clarity in execution. It's worth taking a close look. It can completely change the way you build. If this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who is also on this journey. Because sometimes what's lacking isn't skill, it's having the right path from the start.